Hello, I am Dick Bennett for the Omni Center for Peace, Justice, and Ecology. This is our periodical book sampler for peace and justice and the environment. Today I want to talk about lying in high places. Our fine columnist Mike Masterson in our Northwest Arkansas Times wrote an excellent column recently entitled "Liars Lose Jobs, Period." He proposes that any public servant, being compensated to perform a job connected with the sacred public trust, who knowingly lies or refuses to truthfully answer material questions about their responsibilities to the public, would be fired. No tolerance for dishonesty in the performance of public jobs. Well, I was, at the same time that I read this, I was reading a new book entitled 935 Lies, The Future of Truth and the Decline of America's Moral Integrity. The book is written by Charles Lewis, and his concern is for our democracy and how our democracy might survive if too many lies were expressed by leaders. Here's what he says about facts. Facts are and must be the coin of the realm in a democracy, for a government of the people, by the people, and for the people. Demands an informed citizenry. Unfortunately, for citizens in the United States and throughout the world, distinguishing between fact and fiction has always been a formidable challenge, often with life and death consequences. Those in power habitually seek to control the flow of information, corrupting its content and using the lies, distortions, or simple suppression to cover their crimes. In his prologue, on page 8, he says, speaking of the Iraq War, that his report found that in the 2 years after the terrorist attacks of September 11, 2001, President George W. Bush and 7 of his administration's top officials made at least 935 false statements about the national security threat posed by Iraq. The carefully orchestrated campaign of untruths about Iraq's alleged threat to United States national security from its weapons of mass destruction or links to Al-Qaeda, also specious, galvanized public opinion and led the nation to war under decidedly false pretenses. It's that fact that interests the Omni Peace Center and interests me, and should interest all citizens regarding our virtually permanent war now, and that is that our leaders do lead, and unfortunately they lead by lying too often, that they work, that the public is galvanized into acceptance of our wars, even though there is no justification for them whatsoever. The book then traces administration after administration lying to the people to get the nation into war without justification, wars without necessity, immoral wars, illegal wars. In chapter 1, for example, I'm perhaps running out of time. In chapter 1, he describes the illegal, immoral, unnecessary war in Vietnam. How Lyndon Baines Johnson lied about an alleged attack upon our 7th Fleet by some torpedo boats, claiming that they were, that the response by the Vietnamese was unprovoked, when in fact our 7th Fleet, imagine it, it's the most powerful fleet in the world, was then, is now, had been patrolling in Vietnamese waters. President Johnson said they were in international waters. They were not. And so we spent all those years there for all those deaths for no reason. The lesson: the leaders and the mass media who supported the leaders at the beginning of the war learned nothing. These wars have continued. These illegal, unnecessary, immoral wars have continued, perhaps worsened. How might we assess these wars? JR, do I have time? Okay, I don't. I think we're about done. Okay. Well, I was going to read something from our own J. William Fulbright about the United States wars, but he fully agreed with the assessment of this book by Charles Lewis, 935 Lies. Thank you. This has been Dick Bennett for the Omni Center for Peace, Justice, and Ecology.